Welcome to No Options with Ty Gipson, the show where life's toughest trials become the foundation for your greatest triumphs. Real stories, raw conversations, and the unwavering belief that you were built to overcome. Now, here's your host, Ty Gipson.
You know, we talk about dealing with adversity. We talk about just every day we have certain things that we get through. And then there are times in life that we run into some pretty big adversity, some big mountains to climb. And my guest today, Tracy Roby. Tracy, thank you for being on the show with us.
Thank you for having me.
You're absolutely
correct.
I'm glad you're here. And guys, when we talk about adversity, y'all need to sit back and relax here and listen to Tracy. You think we've been through some things. Listen to what Tracy's been through, but I want you guys to pick up on some things and realize that we all deal with adversity, but it's how we handle it and what we do on the other side of it that's so important. And Tracy's got an amazing story about that. Tracy, so let's talk about your story. May 25th of 2022, your life changed. So tell us a little bit about what went on that day, and we can go from there.
Well, it was about 7:30 in the morning. It was kind of post-COVID. We were still, in the depths of COVID where they didn't want you working and doing all this other kind of stuff. So I rode with my husband who worked in the oil field. He was in the production end of it. And it was about 7:35 in the morning, and I felt really dizzy. I like kind of fainted back on the bed, and I said, "There's something wrong, honey," And he came right over to me. He looked at me. He said, "Stick your tongue out." And I stuck my tongue out, and he said, "You're having a stroke." And we're less than 10 minutes from the hospital. So he tried his best to get me in the truck. I would go in and out because the stroke landed on my left hemisphere. I had ischemic stroke, and that's a clot. And so I actually had two clots on the left hand side of my brain that affected my right side. And so I'm now paralyzed on my right side. But while it was happening, he's trying to get me to the truck, and I'm coming in and I'm able to walk, and then I'm going out and not able to walk. And he got me to the hospital. They, do what they do at the hospital. I had a CAT scan. They told me I was going to San Antonio. I was going to get airlifted to San Antonio. And I said, no, I'm going home. I'm your, stubborn Gen Xer. And I said, yeah, just, rub some dirt on it. I'll be fine. Yeah. They said, no, I'm sorry. You're going to San Antonio. So I was airlifted to San Antonio. I spent 9 days in ICU, 2 days in the hospital, and 10 days in a recovery unit. Wow.
Now, I've got to ask, though, how is Alan so aware of what you were going through? Does Alan, had been through this before, or what? How did he pick up on that? I'm impressed that he was that knowledgeable to pick up what was going on.
Well, he had been in the oil field business for like 40 years. He was offshore and onshore, and every year they have a medical class that they have to take, with their CPR and do all their medical training for the year. Because when you're out there on a platform, you are the first responders. And so you have to know what to look for. And by sticking your tongue out, it will either be straight or it'll go off to the left or to the right. And so mine didn't come out straight. It went off to the side. And that is a sign of a stroke.
Wow. Well, I mean, so those medical training classes paid off for you guys. But that was just curious. I was just curious because I don't know that I would have known that, So thank you for sharing that with me. But so we get to the hospital, right? And they're telling you, you decided, you told them you were not wanting to go. in the helicopter, I guess, to San Antonio, but they told you differently, right? They said this was a very serious injury and that you are going, correct? Is that what happened?
Yeah, yes. And I'd had no real hospital experience before.
Okay.
I've had 6 kids, and I chose to have a midwife with my kids. So any real hospital experience I did not have. I was scared to death. So it was kind of a big deal being transferred to.
Well, I mean, think about, and that's something I want to bring up. I mean, you had 6 children, but have never really had the hospital experience, right? So this was all new to you, and that's I'm glad you brought that up because with that many children, you would think you've had quite the hospital experience, but in this case, that was not the situation, right? So this was all new to you. So you get there, and then talk a little bit about what some of the things that went on that really kind of changed your outlook on things.
Well, first of all, the hospital, they were excellent. They took very good care of me. I got the clot buster within like a half hour of having the stroke. So that's one of the reasons why my cognitive and my speech is so well. And so the actual hospital part was great. However, the recovery aspect of it, I'm going to give it a C-. I felt that they should have worked a little bit more on the arm. You only have 90 days of muscle memory to get the most bang out of your recovery. And so they would take me out of the room for 1 hour per day, 5 days a week, nothing on Saturday or Sunday. I had a male nurse. He was a good nurse, but when it came time to bathe, he was very kind, and he said, "Do you want a female CNA to bathe you instead of me?" And I said, "Yes, sir, please. That would be great." And so I did not realize the in-depthness of having a bath in the hospital. And so it was very traumatizing. Ever since I was a child, I've been able to bathe myself. Bathing yourself is something that everybody does by themselves once they're past their toddler stage, elementary stage. And I felt that my dignity and independence was stripped away from me. And so when I came out of the hospital scenario altogether, I said to my husband, we've got to do something better. There's got to be something out there. And we did some research, and there was nothing for patients in order to help them bathe in the hospital or even out of the hospital setting with dignity and independence. So we invented the Agu Shower Wand, which is a shower wand with the disabled in mind, or the mobility challenge. And so it has would you like to see it?
Yeah, sure. I want to, and while you're getting that real quick, I want to say, so you guys went through, you like you said, it was an experience that really, just stripped you of your independence, your dignity. But instead of just sitting back and going, oh my gosh, this is happening to me, you chose to make a difference, right? And I talk about this a lot, in my no options mindset about that. And I think it's amazing what you did, because this is what we try to encourage people to do, is to push through. Sometimes just don't sit back and watch. Sometimes we've got to be the one to make, the situation better, find a way to get through it so that we can maybe do things on the other side of it. Right. And I talk about it a lot and you and I've talked about this before, where my step number 1 that I talk about is grow or die. Right? Are we going to get better, or are we just going to stay here and let this be what it is? Right? And you guys did some amazing things by being able to take it and go, just like you came back and you said, all right, Alan, what can we do, right, to make it better for people down the road? And that's where this Agu Shower Wand came about. So show us what it is that you guys came up with.
Okay, so this is the Agu Shower Wand. It has a 14-inch handle. It has a diverter button, so the water does come through the pad and through the shower side.
Uh-huh.
And then this is your water pressure or throttle. So this would be a low, and this would be high. And so it's a great product for not only stroke patients, obese, mobility challenge, but also children, autistic children that have sensory issues,
Sure.
and they don't like the water all over them. So this is a more direct, you can direct it and control the water flow. And this pad comes off to go in the washing machine. So it's all usable via one hand, because that's all I have that's usable, and washable. So it goes in the washing machine, so you don't actually have to share a pad with your stinky 15-year-old son. And we know how they are.
That's right. That's right. Well, thanks for sharing that product with us. I mean, but I love, again, I'm going to go back and talk about that, because I love the fact, and I want to keep harping on that, because I think in life in general, we run into so many things that people just shut down on, right? Run into situations that may have stripped other people's independence and dignity and everything about, life they did not like, but didn't respond to it, right? Where you guys responded. Yeah. And I think that is, and I give you guys kudos for just being willing to take that step to make a difference, instead of just sitting back and accepting the fact that, oh my gosh, that was a horrible situation, but y'all did something about it. So kudos to you guys, and so now we have this product. This is a prototype, I'm assuming right now, that you guys have put together. Obviously, been a lot of thought behind it, and a lot of research and things that you guys are doing. But where are you at with that product? Where does it sit today?
We are standing at the doorway to manufacturing. We actually came up with a three-part process to what we want to accomplish. So not only did we invent the shower wand to help assist people in their everyday lives shower with dignity and independence, but we also started a nonprofit called the South Texas Stroke Recovery Foundation. And our ultimate goal is to build a freestanding neurological recovery center, which would specialize in traumatic brain injuries and strokes, because a stroke is considered a traumatic brain injury, but you can get a traumatic brain injury from playing football, soccer, motorcycle accidents, car accidents, horseback riding. Your brain is so important, and so you don't want to have concussions and problems. And so we really have found God has really put us in a position that we have such a love for people, and we see such a need for a freestanding neurological center in the Crossroads, which is Victoria County, DeWitt County, Lavaca County area. And that's what our ultimate goal is to build a recovery center for brain injuries.
Well, it's, and so not only did you guys, come up with a product, but now your guys are wanting to take a lot of the profits from the product and help other people through this. And so, I first want to say thank you for what y'all are doing. I think it's amazing to be wanting to help people. And God has our plan, as we've talked about earlier. He is, we're here to, and sometimes these adversities are just things preparing us to do what we're going to be, what our plan is on this earth. Right. So, I always say, look at whatever we're going through. It's just getting us ready for what we're going to be able to do for others, or for to make a difference. And that's truly been what's going on in y'all's world. And so, and then I want to talk about caretakers, and sounds like you've got a really good one. And I want to bring Alan's name back up again, because, part of what you talked about is just getting the right aftercare and having people to be able to get through, you know, the proper, I guess, exercises and things to do and care as they get through a stroke. And Alan has been there for you. I mean, not only has he been there for you, but I mean, he retired from his career to help you through that. Talk a little bit about Alan and how he's been such a big help for you.
Well, I'm a very blessed woman. God gave me a wonderful husband. The day I had my stroke was the day he retired from the oil field. He spent 9 days in ICU with me and he didn't go home at all. He just stayed there with me, making sure I was okay. When I did come home, so when you leave the recovery center, there's two places you can go. You can go to a nursing home or you can go home. It depends on how your recovery is going and how what you have available for you. I was extremely blessed to have my husband, and he wheeled me in and out of the house. He took me to private therapy 3 times a week. He cut up my food for me. He has literally done everything for me, because there was a time I couldn't bathe myself, and he just jumped into the trenches with me and took care of me. So I am a very, very blessed person. And that's why we have said that with our stroke recovery center, it'll be stroke patients thriving in their recovery, because you have to have good people standing behind you, supporting your mental health, supporting your depression, supporting you spiritually, your occupational, physical, and speech therapy. So there's so many different avenues that needs to be addressed. And unfortunately for me, when I was in recovery, the only thing they dealt with was physical recovery. That was, Tracy, get up, walk, and start walking again. And that was it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, again, it's amazing that Alan was there, and like you said, what a blessing to have him there. You know, one of my questions though would be, and this is where I get really interested in this, is when you went through that, what helped you, other than Alan helping you physically and you know, because it's a lot in your mindset, because I talk a lot about mindset and having a positive thinking mindset and you know, just be thinking from an encouraging side, not a poor, pitiful me type. What are some of the things what got you through those times when and I'm sure there were a lot of really darker days and darker nights that you went through. What got you through those?
Well, there were very many dark days. I would sit on the bed and cry, and I'd say, God, why me? And my husband was like, okay, come on, stop. You gotta address this the correct way. Right. And so God doesn't actually say, you get a stroke, you get this, you get that. Sometimes he allows those things to happen to you, because only then can you shine the brightest for his glory. And so that's kind of become my catchphrase, because there's days, I mean, I was perfectly normal. If you would have met me the day before I had my stroke and asked me how old I was, I would have told you I was 28 with 23 years experience. And I mean, I'm vivacious, I was energetic, going. I loved, dancing and horseback riding and doing all sorts of things. And then in the snap of a finger, I'm paralyzed on my right side, which was my dominant side. So now I write like a kindergartner. But, all these new challenges have been a blessing, because it opened my eyes to what I was completely blind by, because strokes happen to one person every 40 seconds. one person every 40 seconds somewhere in the United States has a stroke. One person every 4 minutes dies from the complications of a stroke. It's the 5th leading cause of death in the United States. And 80% of strokes are preventable. And my stroke was preventable. I smoked. I had undiagnosed high blood pressure and undiagnosed diabetes. I had the perfect trifecta for a stroke, and I was a winner. So, with the South Texas Stroke Recovery Foundation, one of our goals is to bring education and awareness to the general public about strokes and how strokes can be prevented. Loma Linda University did a study a few years back about hydration. Just increasing your water by 5% can help lower your chances of having a stroke, because your brain is a gelatin type cholesterol. It has a cholesterol base. And so to keep it moist, everything, all the little neurons and everything fire correctly. But if you start getting dehydrated, they don't pop back and forth correctly. And you have to excuse me, it's kind of late and I don't know. I'm a little bit tired, so I can't tell you the medical terminology, but it's in the layman's term, they don't connect.
Well, so you said a couple of things there too I want to bring back up. One of the things you said was very preventative, right? It could have been prevented, right? Well, first and foremost, smoking. I mean, and sometimes we got to learn the hard way, and you did, right? So, and I heard you don't smoke anymore, so that's great. But the other thing is you mentioned it could have been preventative with the right checkups, right? So, talking to the audience out here, please, from Tracy's experience, we need to make sure that we're getting checkups. We're making sure that we're taking care of ourselves. I mean, to me, that's what you just said, right? Was ways it could have been preventative. If we would have, if you had been getting checkups, maybe this stuff would have been, you would have seen it earlier and obviously been able to treat it earlier. So that's another thing that we've learned from Tracy this evening is making sure that we we're following up
your yearly
our checkups, right? For sure. So
get your yearly, your annual checkups done, the full workup, right. Age appropriate. Don't go in there and say, I'm a 50-year-old person, but you don't need to see a cardiologist. No, you really do need to see a cardiologist. So just go in and let the doctor do his thing and get your heart checked, get your blood pressure, your diabetes, the whole workup, because it can save your life.
And there's so many things in that you just talked about that are silent killers, right? That we don't always know about. And diabetes, you mentioned, is the same way. I mean, you got to make sure you're going to taking care of that. I've been a juvenile diabetic since I was 8, so I'm very aware of diabetes, and it is. I mean, it's something that we need to make sure we're staying in. And if that's something that our audience is dealing with, I highly encourage you to please make sure you're managing that, because talking from experience, if you don't, you deal with it down the road, right? And so those are things that we encourage our listeners to make sure they're jumping on. Now, with that said, you mentioned that every 40 seconds there's a stroke. Is that right? Is that what you just mentioned? 40 seconds. So
yes, sir.
Fifth kill. The top 5 cause of death in the U.S. So strokes are something that's happening a lot, and none of us are excused from potentially having one, right? So we want to make sure we're staying on top of that and getting educated on really what a stroke is. After talking with you, there's things I want to go find out, right? Being a diabetic for 40 something years, I want to go find out more about some strokes and some things that make sure that I'm doing the correct thing. So we've learned a lot. Now, with that being said, I want to go back to, again, what you guys have done and what your plan is, right? You mentioned that you got it right. You got this product right to the manufacturing door. What is keeping right now Tracy and Alan from pushing through those doors? What when can we expect this?
Well, we're about $50,000 short right now. Our attorney has told us that we can fund the last $50,000 through our nonprofit. So if folks are out there have a heart to help us with that, would be great. We have the South Texas Stroke Recovery Foundation, and our website is southtexassrf.org. And any donations would be greatly appreciated. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. So you get your donations in this year and get your tax deduction for next year. And yeah, we need $50,000. That's it. We paid for everything else. We paid for our patents, our trademark, all the engineering, the casting of the product, the tooling. That cost $160,000 to tool it. So we've come up with all that money. It's just the last $50,000. So we're really trying to get it across the finish line. There's so many people it can help. It can help the elderly in the nursing home or hospice centers. It can help the obese, the children, anybody with mobility issues. I know a lot of people who play golf and tennis that they have to have rotator cuff surgery and they can't lift their shoulder. And so it's perfectly designed to be able to get in there and reach all the spots and wash them and rinse them off. So yes.
Wow.
We're really excited.
Again, I mean, I think you just said it, but I mean, it's not just for stroke patients. There's, so if anyone out there is interested and in a position to be able to help, Tracy didn't say this, but I'm sure any amount would help them get to that goal. And Tracy, if you don't mind, would you tell them again where they could go look at this product? Don't you have a website that they could look at?
We have a landing page, and that is Agu, A-G-U, showerwand.com, and that's Agu, A-G-U, showerwand.com. It's a landing page. Go in there, put in your email address. That shows interest in the product, and you can see a little picture of the product. But right now, we're just trying to get some people to rally behind us and show interest in the product.
That is great. Well, Tracy, I want to first of all, I want to say thank you, and I'm you guys are such an encouraging to me, and I hope for everybody that's listening of just pushing through, right? Just pushing through and waking up with a smile. And just so you know, you mentioned about your handwriting. I'm sitting here trying to read my handwriting. I don't think my handwriting is probably any better than yours. So don't be ashamed of your handwriting, because mine's really bad too. But at the same time, just the attitude that you come with, I love it. I love the fact that you have a smile, and that's something that we can do. No matter what situation we're in, right? We can get up and have a good attitude, right? I mean, the mind is powerful, and you are a walking example of that. So, and I want to thank Alan again. Alan, thank you again for being a super good caretaker. And I'm encouraged that you've been right there by her side, and it takes people like you to make a difference. So thank both of you. And is there anything, if there was one thing that we could tell the audience that you want to encourage them with, is there anything you would want to leave the audience with, Tracy?
Just remember, tomorrow is not promised. Love your loved ones every day. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and soul, and have fun while you can, because tomorrow's not promised. Well
said. That's very well said. I mean, life is short, right? I mean, life is short, and let's enjoy every minute. So, Tracy, thank you again, and I just want to thank you for your fight that you're showing everybody, and again, good luck, and I would love to hear back from you on how this thing is going, and maybe the next time we can talk about how well this product is all over the place, and I can't wait to hear the success story there. So thanks again, and I appreciate you being on.
Thank you so much for your time. And I know that you're away from home and taking the extra time for me, and just have a very blessed and safe Christmas.
Same to you, Tracy. Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to No Options. If this episode spoke to you, please take a moment and leave a review. And more importantly, please share it with someone who may need to hear it. You can find more stories, resources, and ways to connect over at my website, tygipson.com. And that is Gipson with a P, TYGIPSON.com. Remember, no matter where you are, your story isn't over yet if you live like you have no options. I'll see you next time.
You know Ty Gipson is an entrepreneur, a relentless survivor. Did you know he's also a powerhouse speaker? After overcoming 3 transplants of juvenile diabetes, he built thriving businesses with one mantra: no options. Ty transforms adversity into action. His keynotes ignite audiences with real-world resilience and 30-plus years of sales mastery. Are you ready to inspire your team? Book Ty Gipson today as your next speaker. You can call 512-944-4780 or head over to tygipson.com. That's Gipson with a P. It's time for your event to share the motivation that is no options.